Behind the southern charm lies razor-blade smiles and hearts of darkness.
Monsters we are.
You know the rest of that sentiment and the reasoning behind it.
The truest lie ever sung.
It is not in seeking monstrousness that we stave off the monsters of our hearts and thoughts.
We are monsters dead, and truly so.
Yet our monstrousness is solely in seeking to live.
Seeking to be that most human of animals.
Monsters we are.
Monsters we are.
The better to embrace the truth of our dead humanity.
The Coast After Dark is a mature-themed Discord play by Post Server based in and exploring the V5 world of darkness in and around the Mississippi Gulf Coast region.
It has a small local population with over 14 million tourists that visit annually.
Roughly an hour's time is all that is needed to travel from end to end.
The geography and size of the region has created a unique power structure that is formally known as the Council of Twilight.
It is sometimes called the Pentarchy.
Sometimes affectionate.
Sometimes oozing with disdain.
Come explore and safely experience the darker parts of the sun-kissed landscape
And your imaginations.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Nobody the Storyteller for Several Chronicles, and this is, without a shadow of a doubt, The Coast After Dark, second of our Hunter Chronicle. The Chronicle's title is Moldering in the Midnight, and this is the second half. We hope you enjoy. We hope you are entertained. And we thank you for your time, your efforts, and your energies. Welcome, folks. How we doing?
Okay.
There we go. Excellent, excellent. Well, welcome in, welcome in. We're just waiting on Diva and, i.e. Jimmy and Ernie's player. Before we get into too many details, any questions, suggestions, hypotheses, or corners we need to round off?
I think Elijah's player went to the bathroom. I'm not sure if it's back or not.
Alright, sounds like a plan.
Yeah, as soon as Cheval hopped on, he was like, well, I gotta go use the can.
No, that is a very, very important thing to do before we settle in and have our souls warmed and toasted. And so overall, no questions, no suggestions, no theories or hypotheses.
Oh, I'm just very curious about like this voice game. I should probably leave my damn thing. I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind.
Okay.
Fortune cookies, the snack of people who want to roll well.
I'm excited to listen to it.
Oh yeah, like is this like the other ones where it's the same like characters that you are using like the play-by post?
Nope.
Nope. So this is like a new thing on its own. Cool.
Yeah, I'm playing Mr. Abramson, Elijah Abramson, and we're all mortals.
Oh, well, that sounds fucking cool.
Speaking of theory, I have a theory. I think we're all gonna die tonight.
Maybe.
Well, I don't play that much Vampire the Masquerade, but I do play a lot of Call of Cthulhu, and that's the other game that has a lot of mortality.
Well, yeah, considering the name, it would be weird if it didn't. I have a friend who makes Call of Cthulhu merchandise.
A friend of mine actually ran a one-shot of Call of Cthulhu 2 weeks ago. It was pretty fun. First time trying it.
I do want to ask, so is this gonna be like a full session, or like since like we have section 0 and we had like a little bit of the actual play, would this be like short?
No. The idea is to have this be the bookend. That was the first half. This is the second half of a one-shot split in two, or a two-shot. Overarching, really direct, without beating around the bush too much. The idea in these one-shots, and there have been effectively 3 like serious actual one-shots, but they're to broaden the view of the play-by-post world that these characters are inhabiting and in and around. So the first actual one shot was roughly 4 months ago. It was hide and seek, and it was with pre-generated characters. It was outlining some of the far eastern portions of what's happening on the coast after dark, and then the next one shot was a place of stones and pebbles, and a path of stone and pebbles, which is basically another one shot split into a multiple part, but it was dealing with things that were actually happening within the coast space with on-screen characters from the play-by-post. And then this one is our hunter one shot split into multiple parts, outlining some of what is happening on the coast, but just to the left of what's happening in the everyday play-by-post.
So we've had very little action in Bay St. Louis.
Are you using a hunter system?
Yes, this is a Hunter Chronicle. A Hunter one-shot. A taste of what all is happening in and around. And it looks as if we still don't have Jimmy. Let me send a quick missive, and then we shall get down to brass tacks. There he is. There's the DM. We're going to slip into Miguel's DMs and see if he's available. Alright, now with that missive sent, attention firmly focused on our present three. We have the idea and we have the inclination that there is very much the feel of death in the air. I will have you know from experience that with car crashes or accidents like that, that very much does pop into the head, especially if you have the opportunity of surviving it. That is exactly the emotional location you should be in when your car that you are in goes topsy-turvy and is snatched from your control, and gravity, it proves in a very direct manner that it is not your friend, and it never has been. It's always trying to keep you down. Just keep that in mind. But with that as our base of where we left everyone, are there any questions? Or more specifically, what questions do you have in regards to where we are and what is in the offing?
Okay, did the car flip entirely over, or did it just spin out of control?
Yes. To paint the picture more directly, to refresh where we were. Caught between indecision and a decided course that was abandoned. The car was placed into gear and spun so that they can head back in the direction of moving towards one of the locations that they felt they might be safe. Traveling what felt like hours but was in fact mere nanoseconds, microseconds of no time at all. The vehicle was knocked for a loop. There was the sound of wolves in the distance, gunfire, crashing, crunching, bending and breaking metal, and gravity fighting with inertia and movement and motion, slamming the vehicle back down into the pavement, completely antithetical to how it was originally facing. There was a 360, a 720, a 1080, and that rotation wasn't just right to left, round and round. It was also end over end. It's something unknown, something unseen had its way and played tug of war with the car versus gravity, motion, and the fear bouncing off the insides of the vehicle. Everyone who had a stamina of 2 and less, which means 1, 2, and God forbid if anybody had a 0 stamina, they were completely knocked unconscious from the banging, bumping, shoving, jostling, and cartwheeling of the vehicle. Those who had 3, 4, or higher stamina would be able to remain unconscious. So they would be able to see that there was nothing there. Normally in a crash, the first thing you do after fighting your way free of your airbag, whether it's the curtain airbag or from the dash or from the skirt that pops out underneath the dash, is you begin checking yourself. Like, your brain is literally gone for a roller coaster ride against the motion of your body. So it's bruising and contused and trying to make sense of the world. Those in the front seat are lucky if they don't break or shatter or otherwise void the warranty on the stability of their skulls. And so there is a discombobulation, there is a fugue, there is a struggle to make sense of the world, because while your mind caught all of the flickering images between you fighting to scrunch your eyes closed against the impact, and from it flickering and you fighting with yourself and getting brief camera flashes of everything that's happening, too fast for you to recognize what it is, your brain, your mind collects all of that information. And as the world speeds back into focus, those images that happen too fast for you to recognize are still there and fighting with what you see in front of you. It's disorienting, to say the least. And God forbid if you actually have something else going on where you begin to taste copper, like you're sucking on a penny at the back of your throat. Or worse yet, there's something moist and warm inside your mouth, warmer than the rest, which means there's something bleeding, leaking, teeth being knocked free. So all of the pain and abrasions coming into focus as the body is still confused because of all of the different sensations that hit all at once, fighting for some form of mental sobriety to make sense of it all. So, the truest, most accurate answer is yes. So, of the three that are still here, how many have a stamina of 3, 4, or more?
Chia has a stamina of 3, so she would still be conscious.
All right, sounds like a plan. Mr. Abramson
Is unconscious, sir.
Levy?
He's out.
Alright. And while Miguel is not here, let me see if I can bring up some of his information and take a quick gander before diving into better approximate where we are. And while I look for the blank copy of Miguel's sheet, are there any additional questions? Alright, let's see where. Aha, there we go. And underground curiosity. Miguel will have been one of the conscious. He does have a stamina of 3 or more, so Miguel would have managed to survive the jostling. And unlike everyone else, who I assume would do the muscle memory of stepping into the car, clicking the seatbelt, he was not buckled in. He had dived into the vehicle as a form of escape. So he was most directly jostled, tossed, upended. Alright, so a little mental bookkeeping. Chia, because I misplaced my notes. What is Chia's composure?
It's a 3.
It's a 3. She is a rock. She has the stress management of a saint. She is emboldened and strengthened by supernatural forces, angels whispering in her ear, providing her with all of the calm of a mountain. She has the stamina of a rock. She is, well, not to gild the lily too much in that regard, but she is substantially resolute. The question, however, is in this moment, with all of the chaos that they've experienced in the matter of a few short hours, with her questions in regards to the supernatural world, what's her resolve? Can she hold the road? Can she stay the course? Or is she one of a multiplicity of focuses and disciplines, unable to stay focused and track through an actual singular goal? Average is 2. Is she above average or more?
Resolve is a 2.
Aha. So she's a woman of many different disciplines and many different interests, and following the endorphins, chasing the highs the bodies provide. So with our bookkeeping out of the way, with our understanding as to what this cell, soon to be cell, of brave adventurers of the dark have experienced, and what sits there in front of them, what they've experienced and lived through thus far, allow me to take this time to thank you all, because play is very important. Buying in and selling the moment so that we as players can each have a moment, a space to embrace all of these feelings and emotions and plumb the dark depths that lie before these characters. In this very real, very safe space, we can deal with the traumas and dramas of these characters and do so in a way that leaves no scars, leaves no contusions, abrasions, or misfortunes upon ourselves. We get a chance to go along for the roller coaster ride and then move on with our day, our night, and our lives. So, without a shadow of a doubt, this is officially the Coast After Dark Hunter one-shot, a two-shot even to be exact, split into multiple parts, and this is the second, the last part, the denouement of it all. Magnolias, Moldering in the Midnight. As we've just discussed, we left the would-be, soon-to-be, might-be cell of hunters in a most tumultuous situation. For those of us who have had the opportunity of experiencing a crash, a collision, a incident that creates a before and after moment in our lives, for us, surviving it, we go on and get back to our lives. For these individuals, for these souls in this world of darkness, it is literally the Rubicon. There was everything that came before, and there will be everything that comes after. As Chia finds herself, because that's what it is. It requires verifying who she is in her own head, verifying what it is that they just experience. It is realizing that the smell of gas is very much in the house with her, realizing that that arm across her face is not her own, realizing that those rivulets of wetness across her skin and ruining the freshly purchased dress that she was going to probably return because, well, getting out in public isn't really her thing. She did it for the vine, her mom, for the experience, for curiosity, but the truth of the matter is, it is not her scene. Too many people, too many fractious moments, too much noise, too many lights, too many people talking vacuously about, of all things, the Mississippi Cricket League, or fishing, or the start of hunting season, or how many who's-its, what's-its they were going to sell. And while the vacuous, empty conversations around her were less than fulfilling, this is the antithesis of fulfilling. This is an emptying, a scouring of what she is, what she was. Would you be so kind as to start us off with the first roll of the night? Would you be so kind as to roll your wits plus insight or awareness? Now, one of the things that we mentioned previously in our former episode was the use of desperation as an inquisitive, sussing out a puzzle, finding the clues, the breadcrumbs that lead to a realization and a discovery are in fact activities and aptitudes to which she might apply a desperation die. So in this particular case, if she feels that it is worth that extra juice, it's worth that extra push, she may replace up to 2 or add 2 desperation dice to her pool. And it is an addition, not like hunger where you would replace. It is an addition to that pool. There's a common meme structure going around these days on social media. No matter which particular drug app you are interested in, be that FaceSpace or InstaChat or Tiktok or TwitTalk, it is things that humans were never supposed to see. And as she rights herself, as she realizes that she is in fact hanging upside down in her newly leased vehicle, thank God for full coverage. As the arm across her face, she realizes it's not hers, but instead it's Miguel's. As Elijah in her passenger seat is ragdolled, his face all but leaking its juices down into the roof of her car, which is now beneath him. As Levy coughs and sputters in his sleep, a sleep forced upon him. The dark takes shape. It's a phrase, it's a literary ideal that she's read many times before in many of the fiction that she's perused, that she's skimmed, that she's speed read while biding her time at this, that, or the other, or just as something to take her eyes off of the reams and reams of data that she goes through on an hourly and daily basis at her real job. Just anything and everything to move her mind away from the white and black of factual information. Up until this moment, she's never really wrapped her head around what that means. It means that the darkness, the shadows out there in the night, slide and slink and crawl upon itself until there is a singular entity, a bipedal shape standing in the road. And it takes a second because her ears are still ringing from the crash, but the gunshots, the firearms being discharged are still being discharged, and the face, pale, gaunt, and haggard, looks directly at her, looks into the vehicle, and considers. She's never been more sure of anything else in her life. But what that is not a person who just stepped out of the shadows. What that is not a living anything. That is death incarnate. The long, well manicured and coiffed hair aside, the tailored ensemble meaning absolutely nothing. That being, that essence of darkness staring there is in fact death. And it takes everything in her to not scream, to not yell, to not freak out more than she is internally, to show no outward signs of distress. Much like a child left alone in the dark, pulling the blankets high over its head, knowing that if it stays under the blanket, if it stays quiet, that what lies under the bed and what creeps around its closet won't be able to pull it free. The blanket is a shield. It is an aegis. It is the wings of an angel keeping all of the darkness of the world and the world of the adults at bay. And much like that blanket, Chia's lack of response is that shield. If she knows that if she screams, she opens her mouth, if she contorts her face, that death will descend. So she stares open-eyed as that coalesced darkness dissipates, as if it was never there. The howls of the wolf having grown closer, the sounds of gunshots in the distance, and then the realization that the car is in complete and utter jeopardy creates a chaos, a circus of, oh my God, yelling, screaming, bright lights and flashing firearms as they rush to extricate everyone from the vehicle. There's calls for ambulance. There's more sirens in the night. And Chia is sure, she's positive as to what she's seen. Now, alphabetically, the next character we would put our hands on, we'll put our imaginations to wrap around, would be Elijah. But we're going to skip over Elijah for a split second. Levy, you were the voice of cautious preparedness. It would be better if we were driving around the block. It would be better if we were moving. It would be faster if we just drive where we need to drive. No waiting around, no loitering. Let's go. And part of the reason for that, one could assume, were the images of your children dancing at the edge of your thoughts, making it home to them. Maybe not tonight, maybe waiting until the sun broke the horizon line. But one could easily assume that the reason for your caution was in fact your children. Was that the case?
Part? Yes.
What was the other part?
Well, I mean, he has been living quite comfortably.
Well, yeah. So continuing that great life, there's a very good and personal reason to move forward. Tomorrow is not the most insightful or inspiring of battle cries, but at the end of the day, outside of easing pain, that is what most push for. Tomorrow. That's it. It's a simple idea, but it's one that drives humanity. The want of seeing tomorrow, whether that tomorrow is the actual 24 hours later, or whether that tomorrow is some idealized function, a moment you want to see. It is very much wrapped in the idea that as long as you are alive, things can always get better. Even if you've never seen better a day in your life, that hope keeps humanity moving forward. Now, that hope is generated by several things across several different social strata. And as you said, Levy has had a pretty decent life. He's got his immortality locked in. He has children. He has a wife. He has a life. In fact, he, unlike others, has 2 lives. Now, just as a reminder, what is Levy's creed and his drive?
His creed is entrepreneur, drive is envy.
Doesn't seem like it would make much sense to any other person. But for him, it makes all the sense in the world. the power to threaten someone else's tomorrow and be able to act on it in a way that is free of ethical and moral concerns. That's what's out there in the dark. That's what took this moment from him. Somewhere out there in the night, somewhere behind the wolf howls and gunshots and the violent crime, is something that has the opportunity of taking others tomorrow. The logical, more financial focused aspect of Levy understands that's power, but not in the taking. He's not a malicious individual. He's not a predator, but protecting for a price other people's tomorrow, keeping whatever's out there in the dark that cause all of those existential thoughts to bombard around his skull and to cause that caution to become a near panic. There is a veritable fortune to be made in the idea of that. And as everything he knows and everything that he sees is just blackness, darkness, he can hear the very voice of Loki himself, the great mischief maker. He can hear Bra Fox and Anansi. He can hear Mercury whispering in his ear. There is a way to ensure his tomorrow and make a life, a better life for himself, if he can find out what power it is the darkness has to take someone else's tomorrow. Because that's what he feels like in this moment. Being knocked out, unlike the movies and unlike the books, is not an easy thing. It's an easy thing to fall victim to, but it is not an easy thing for the body. Someone temporarily flicked the on-off switch of his mind and his body fast enough that it got stuck in the off position. That's what being knocked out actually is. Your heart and your mind flickering, trying to fight for that life. And you get stuck temporarily in that off position. So you exist in the purgatory of your unconscious, tapped into a spectrum of understanding that if you say it out loud, there's no way that you're not going to be locked away forever. If you tell anyone, there is a surety that you won't be telling anyone anything else for a very long time, except for how you came up with those ideas and getting you to admit just how sick you might be. So as hands tear at you, as you hear voices unable to make out what they're saying, yelling at you, screaming at you, what is Levy going to do?
Try to reach out, try to hold on to the hands.
Pulling those hands to help get yourself up out of this purgatory, up out of this darkness, to crawl into the light, because there is a niche, there is a need, there is a world that needs what you discovered, what you understand in these moments. This purgatory cannot be the way that your story ends, and as you fight and pull and use the assistance of all those yelling voices and those hands clawing at you, pulling you up out of the darkness, you realize that it's a beautiful night sky. There's nary a cloud up there. The stars are twinkling and you can see the lights of the ambulance as you're being helped into it. You didn't realize that you were on a gurney. No, you weren't on a gurney. You were in the backseat of a car. Why are you Why? Why is a common question, and one that religion usually helps to answer for those who believe, for the faithful. Why? Elijah, darkness is not a foreign thought to those of the Abrahamic faith. Darkness sums up what the world was before there was a world. Darkness serves up as analogy for lack of knowledge. Darkness is not inherently evil. Unlike many of the other Christian faiths, darkness is just the concept of ignorance. It's the concept of absence. There is no malicious intent in the dark, typically. But this dark is different. It's not the darkness of unknowing. It's the darkness of forced blindness. And it is the darkness that society pulls over every living entity's eyes. The ignorance that comes from having your head filled with electronic noises and beeps. The ignorance of being dulled and lulled to sleep behind constant surveillance. The ignorance that comes from making way for the monsters. And this darkness is filled with that. You can hear the electronic static of various demons as they whisper and attempt to lull you further into the darkness. There's various jackal and wolf-headed beings out there in the night. You're not sure how you know they're out there, but you know they are out there. This overwhelming darkness that is all around. You're able to feel it so deep and heavy. And moments from your life, moments from before faithfully understanding and before fully acknowledging your faith, assail you. Conversations had out of willful ignorance assail you. Much like the voices in the desert calling, attempting to get you to respond. In this darkness, in this dark night of the soul, does he reach for his gun? Does he reach for his cane? Or does he find his own lighter to shed light on everything that's around him?
So this is, of course, semi-dream state, yes?
Yes.
The metaphor he will cling to in his mind is he's going to rise again, pushing himself up on his cane towards the light and his purpose in shining that light into a dark world.
So reaches for his cane. He has an intention decided. He has an image in his mind as to what that means and how that will be translated. And he reaches for his cane, which has helped him navigate the near constant pain of his existence. A pain that in this moment, being surrounded by all these things that are not actually mortal, by all of these principalities, is not there. The creaking elbows, the aching back, the out of line hips And the sacral pain that he has been under nearly every day of his life for the last several decades is not there. The ardent faith and strength that arises from his faith seems to act as a salve, seems to ward that daily pain of ignorance all around him away. He has an understanding as to what darkness he and the rest of the world is in. What he has been fighting, what he has been suffering under. The pain he feels when in the presence of things and beings that are not completely as he is, a child of God, is no longer there. Because it is a large, dark world. A massive, dark world. And he has been suffering because he understands and realizes on a level he has not yet grasped his own awareness, his own insight. Now, as he's wrestling with this and using the cane as his staff, just like the first priests of the children of Israel, his staff is sign of office. Does he make a promise to himself? Does he make a promise to the void? Does he make a promise to the light? Is there some declaration of intent?
Well, I went down this path of exploring unknown things with the disappearance of a friend of mine that I attributed to this cult in town, and that oath still sticks. Like, I am going to show that this cult is a cult of darkness, even though everybody thinks it's a force for good. And I truly am going to associate that mission with many of the things I've seen, that I don't think it's a coincidence, that I believe they're related. And that I just need to expose that so the world knows this is a darkness that needs to get chased out of our community. This is a darkness that needs to be fought. So it's not really a new oath, it's clinging to one I've already made to myself.
A promise is a promise. It is an often tossed out aphorism. In our day and age, promises are made and broken on a daily. Understandings and trusts one person to the next are broken moment by moment. Simple, direct. It is never simple and direct. It is taken all manner of ways. Everyone decides to pull their truth from what is fact. And a lot of the communication fails to reach its mark because of broken promises of understanding and fealty and loyalty and all manner of things that get in the way of simple one foot in front of the other, simple yes or no binary decisions. There are so many details that assail and so many ways to misperceive a thing. It is a conscious act. And for those of a similar ilk as Elijah, who understands the value of the word, that statement, that promise means something. Something that you can pledge your life and your soul to, something that can drive you forward and oftentimes lead you into catastrophes. Feeling strong hands all about him as the shadows crash, like the ocean itself. Being bombarded by raised voices and bright oscillating lights Elijah comes to himself in the ambulance. And pulled out of the vehicle. Pulled like all of the other four out of the vehicle. The quick responding ambulance is taking them off into the night. Chia, awake for it all, realizes that, yeah, the police were shooting at a wolf-sized something, canine, lupine, some canid of some sort. Maybe it was mange, maybe it was a trick of the light, but it broke across the line as they gave up the hunt, gave up the chase to help the overturned vehicle. And just as she's being slipped into the ambulance, she sees it there in the distance, running across the field, a fast-moving dark streak. And for the moment, we close with the ambulance doors as Miguel and Elijah are shoved into one ambulance, and Levy and Chia are shoved into another, and they're taken off to the nearest hospital. We pull our vision back and look out over the wide vista that is Bay St. Louis. The bay which opens onto the Gulf of Mexico sitting there as our backdrop. The starlight rippling off of the softly churning waves. We watch as a lupine-ish, pony-sized, hairy shape disappears from view. We watch as the shadows which had coalesced into a bipedal form reappear less than a quarter of a mile away, sliding behind the wheels of a great, large Oldsmobile from 1963, affixed with suicide doors, a rag top, and lights dim enough not to ever actually be considered on. A gas-guzzling beast built like a tank. And it moves northwest from where we are. This scene closes 3 weeks ago. A night to remember, with hundreds of thousands of moments that they want to forget, with the fires of there is another world laid right on top of our own that has been preying on ours every day like some huge predatory tick burrowed shoulder deep into the soft flesh of society. It's noon on a Tuesday. 3 weeks, 20 some odd hours, and several lifetimes of wrestling with what they saw, what they experienced, removed. It is bright, busy, and all too noisy internally for the cell, for this group of individuals, for this group of would-be brave forces against the darkness. There is a coffee shop located at Bay St. Louis Beach. It's not a Starbucks. It is a Bay St. Louis local establishment right there on the corner of Ramonita and South Beach Boulevard. It gives you a view of the Gulf instead of the bay. There's a cemetery, two to be exact, actually, not far from where they are. Something about being close enough to death, well, the memorialization of death keeps the idea of that night fresh and safe in their heads. Having made amends with family, friends, associates, the car replaced thanks to insurance, the police having written an incident report, though there's no other vehicle. So the incident is an unknown vehicle which struck their own. Several incidental texts and calls from Agent Carver bringing them here today. 3 weeks removed from that catastrophic end, because there was an end. There was an end to the illusory aspects of their life that night. There was an end to accepting the world as it was that night. Because everything they saw, everything they felt, all of their behaviors leading up until that moment, well, there's no other way to say it. They were sheep amongst the land of wolves. What they are now is anyone's guess. How do they arrive?
I drive up in my Ford F-150, dressed in my usual largely beige and brown outfit. For the occasion, I actually decide to have my tie be subdued and match the general beigey brownness of my formal attire. So even though it is middle of the day, I am dressed in something that would seem fitting in the middle of like London in winter. And I climb down out of my truck with the usual joint-induced difficulties. And look for anybody I recognize, and if nobody is there, if I'm there first, I find an empty table and park myself there. I don't feel like drinking anything at the moment, so I'm not getting in line.
As it's a local coffee shop, unlike Starbucks or Caribou or any of the other hustling, bustling, overly priced, popular coffee shops, there is an outside cafe of mixed match lawn furniture. There is row and row of picnic style banquet tables inside, and instead of the assortment of kitschy, overpriced merchandise to purchase, there's 4 and 5 bookshelves filled with left books for you to read at leisure, and board games, and oddly found and upcycled everyday antiques, discarded pieces of furniture that have been drug in and you hope fumigated. There is a huge green couch, which is, you're not sure whether it's olive or it's split pea, but it is a green that has not seen popularity since somewhere in the late 60s. The tiles overhead are themselves antique. You can tell that the copper there is its original tiling, beaten back into shape after several incidents or issues with water. It's been repainted once or twice and stripped away several other times. The floor beneath you has been lacquered to within an inch of its life. It is its own hodgepodge of mix between the lacquer that went and wax that went on the floor and the wood that actually was originally there. You're sure that if you tried to strip the wax and lacquer off the floor, you'd be there for several hours. And yet, the scent of freshly ground beans fills the space with a warmth that is undeniable. Coffee in and of itself is a aromatic that triggers something in the human condition. And while it is a small social distraction for him, it's hard to envision a place such as this being filled with anything of the dark. Yes, the sun is shining, but several times over the last few weeks, he's felt as if the shadows have been listening to him, as the shadows have been reaching out to him. And several times over the last few weeks, while alone in his office or on the way from one associate to the next, he's felt the cold hand of the unknown, rifling his hair, attempting to go through his pockets, stalking his steps. And so he settles at the table. Chia, Levy, how do you arrive?
So, is it during lunchtime on a workday?
Yes.
Okay, I think that will be much easier. I imagine being in a car accident will require hospitalizations and will require telling the wife what happened. I think Levy will probably have like a week's leave at university that he worked with. Well, it has been 3 weeks, so he has been back working for 2 weeks, but the wife is still pretty like keeping him on a close leash, and he's actually glad that this meeting is happening. So he will be arriving in his work clothes, driving his Jeep. He is not exactly working on a diggings project, is on his assistant now. He's basically working in like an office setting, so the typical professor dress, if that makes sense, like suit with vest, and yeah. If he saw Elijah in the coffee shop, he'll probably just like wave at him and go sit down. But he will order like a coffee though.
Okay. So standing in line, there is something wholly wholesome about the idea of these children. Because there's a small, relatively large age difference between Elijah Levy and the average person ordering coffee. There's lots of shorts, lots of skin, there's lots of lack of wrinkles, lack of experience, lack of understanding as to what world they actually exist in. You watch the guy and the girl in front of you who are clearly best friends, though they're overly affectionate. There's a little flick of the chin, there's a hip bump, there's a lot of flouncy, youthful movement demanding attention, even though you know that if you approach and say, hey, you're up next, that you'd get less than polite response more than likely. Or worse yet, you'd get weaponized ignorance, a blank stare, a what? Or worse. As a professor, especially in such a relatively older specialization of archaeology, even the students that he's managed to inspire have not seen Indiana Jones. Oh, you mean the one where the guy hides in the refrigerator? No! Actually, Indiana Jones, you... Or, God forbid if you mention King Solomon's Mines, or any of the older explorer films and books that got you inspired into the field. And that was even before finding out how much money can be made by accidentally losing one or another thing to be sold at a private auction. So you silently wait and watch the over-the-shoulder selfies being taken, something about broadcasting alive. So this is Bay St. Louis. Like, this is my favorite drink. I get like 5 shots of espresso, and they're speaking overly loud into a camera. They have headphones in, and yet they're still yelling at the piece of plastic and loose bits of metal in their hand as they get their drink. So while you wave at Elijah and patiently wait to get to the barista to order your drink, Chia, with all the texts and messages, how do you arrive?
She's obviously replaced the car, like you said, and got pretty much the same car, but in just a different color. Parks it and comes in, and even though it's been 3 weeks, she still obviously is showing some signs of something having happened. There's a slight, a mostly healed split at her bottom lip. There's a little bit of a bruise healed under her eye. She's got she's wearing long sleeves to hide most of the damage she caught getting yanked out of the vehicle. Is a slight hitch to her step. Normally, Chia would be mostly dressed like one of these other kids in here, but today she's kind of more somber. Longer pants, little cardigan sweater thing to cover up, sunglasses on. Comes in and looks around, sees Elijah and kind of gives him a finger wave. Sees Levy in the line and comes to join him in the line because she needs caffeine before she talks about anything else. I'm kind of I see you're healing up, looking well. How you do?
I'm fine. Are you okay?
I don't want to talk about it too much with me over here, but I just can't shake the feeling of what happened that night. So many things happened that night. It's almost scary to get in the car and drive by myself a little bit.
I'm sorry to hear that. I guess since we're only texting and I never actually see you in person since that night, I didn't realize how much that have impacted you since you were driving. Well, I completely passed out, so I don't really remember. Levy is gonna look around and he's gonna say, how about I get you a coffee and let's walk towards Elijah and talk about this there instead of in the line.
Yeah, I like that better.
Levy's gonna get you coffee now.
It doesn't take long as far as such things go. A few minutes of your life, a few minutes that you'll never get back, hearing how there was a concert and oh my god, my favorite band, it was my dad's band, but they got people that were really, really close, to the original members. They did a show in Milwaukee. I didn't hear anything about a concert in Milwaukee. Who wants to go to Milwaukee? It's all snow. No, it was so cool. The video, well, there's only one clip, but they were in the Brewers Stadium or football, I don't know, it's a baseball field, I think, but it was just lights and music, and I could kill the cameraman. He didn't focus, and hearing the vacuous, empty conversations about some concert that happened thousands of miles away that has no relation to anything that's going on here. As they drone on and on, the vocal fry gets to you, Levy. It's one of the many reasons why you are glad to have lived when you did and survived long enough to be here now. Because the vocal fry and the questioning and the constant, huh? What? No. Amidst the story, the asides in the middle of it. One was talking about some concert at a football field and was interjected oh my god, that reminds me, they call soccer football everywhere else except for America, and the constant interjections and oh my god, and it sends you up a wall. The quiet of a dig site seems like heaven in comparison. You find yourself back at the table. Now, over the last few weeks, as you've all mended as best as possible, as you've all come to grips with what you've all come to grips with, the text from Agent Carver became a regular occurrence. First, it was 3 or 4 times a day, then to once or twice a day, then to once every other day, until now. Nothing overtly stated, nothing actually communicated. It was touching base, finding out where you were, how things were going, making sure, your doors are locked, you have security system, things like that most modern individuals have. The Ring cameras and the Wise cameras and the making sure the doors are locked, making sure that, you're aware of anyone new in your environment. All of those little slightly paranoid things via text became a regular occurrence. You began able to keep time with those texts and knew almost what was going to be said or what was going to be suggested after a while. But the need to meet today was something that just couldn't be turned down. It was something that couldn't be ignored. So you all find yourself at a coffee table in a coffee shop on one of the brightest afternoons in a very long time. Back together officially in person for the first time since that night. And as you all settle in, is there anything you all discuss?
Levy's gonna give the coffee to Chia and just wait for her to say something.
She would take it and thank him and then look at the other two, and I had to stop my mom from packing my things and make me go home with her. I didn't want to move back in with them, but she was almost insistent after that accident. She asked me all sort of questions and I had to lie to her about what happened that night. I told her I hit a deer or some sort of animal, and that another car hit me and flipped the car over. But we all know that's not what it was. You two were out when I saw what hit the car, or what I think hit the car. And now I know why the agent said don't talk about it, or don't let anybody know you know about it. Because that thing in the road, oh my God, it looked through my soul. I couldn't scream, because I was worried it would peel the car open like tuna can.
Well, I, for one, would like to thank you for not screaming, if indeed what you looked at was that scary. I had enough trouble recovering from what it is I did go through without being tore open like a tuna can. Much obliged.
Could you... So... You saw the thing. What does it look like? I'm sorry that, like, it might be too fresh for you, but... I'm just...
Hey, maybe we should save that for privater locations.
Alright. Sorry.
I understand. I'm really curious also.
Well, I do agree we should wait, but I'll be not disappointed once you find out what it looked like. because what it looked like is she had, like, head nods towards the rest of the group, or towards the whole rest of the coffee shop, like people. That's what it looked like.
Well, I have to say I've been a little bit preoccupied over the last few weeks with making sure the safe house is really a good safe house now. Because seemed important. It seemed more important since then to make sure that there is a good place to gather. And all those notes that we've been getting over the past few weeks about maintaining our house security have really dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, and probably have more surveillance around than I need. Thankfully, the wife understands me being paranoid. Just like, after what you've been through, I could understand. Blindsided out of nowhere, and you were minding your own business. Just don't let it get to you too much, she says. Sweet. Absolute sweetheart. Anyway. But yeah.
That night, again, was literally a before and after. It was a defining moment in your existence. Everyone always understands it is always better to rip the band-aid off quickly. No one ever talks about all of the small hairs that get ripped free, or the fact that the wound underneath feels as if it's being abraded even more when you rip the band-aid off. Healing leaves scars. If you're lucky, they're visible. You can see them. You can keep track on how well they're healing. You can pack them to force them to heal inside first. There's things you can do with the wounds you can see. Unfortunately, the wounds that you can't see, the emotional ones, the mental ones, the small pieces and portions of yourself that may be missing, or get lost, or get buried, or oftentimes in the hullabaloo and the hubbub, get mangled, get crushed, get squeezed down to smaller and smaller portions. Those are a lot harder to heal because you don't see them, you don't talk about them, you don't communicate about them, and you allow them to fester. As you all gather here in this brightly lit space, in this moment, looking at each other, fellow survivors of what it was you survived. The darkness not only brushing against your skin, but crashing into and through you. Leaves scars. The small, constant communication with Agent Carver of Homeland Security has been a help. It's been a little bit of triple antibiotic that you managed to apply to yourself as a salve against those wounds, unseen and hidden within. So as she walks through the door, sporting a black eye and her left arm in a sling, while those scars don't reopen, they are definitely handled a little crueler than you would have preferred. Something twinges inside.
Instinctively, I offer to help her with whatever it is she wants. Like, does she want a drink? I can get it for her. Can I get a seat? Can I pull a chair for her? Blah, blah.
No, we're good. Thank you. Sit, make yourself at home. And she motions with her right hand. Thankfully, it seems as if she was right hand dominant, as most of the population, so it hasn't impacted her ability to physically communicate much. The standard hand signs of sit, make yourself at home, or sit, please, coming easily and naturally to her. She drags her chair back from the table a little bit and sits wide-legged at a corner of the table. All right. She looks towards the Gulf just out the window there, across the span of beach and road. I am going to miss the coast. It's been a very enjoyable time here, for the most part. You guys get to the beach much?
Levy of German descendant has really pale skin. He's just kind of looked back at the agent with like a raised eyebrow.
Not particularly. Not my scene.
That is a shame. That is a shame. There's a way that things work. There's a expected centrism that we adhere to, oftentimes without meaning to, oftentimes because we inherit various things. Our kinks from our parents, our eye color from our grandparents, and she pauses looking at Levy, our nationalistic fidelity and fealty from our cousins or our uncles. You know, that crazy uncle that happens to paint in his spare time, who has all the ideas about being a vegetarian and what the school system should be and who's worthy of the aid of the state. Just things we had absorbed from our family, just naturally passed down. Some would say genetically. But I'm glad to see that most of you all have survived long enough to make it this far. Chia, what did you get? That smells lovely.
Venti espresso triple shot with mocha and cinnamon.
Cinnamon? That might be a little too spicy for my blood.
Not quite spicy enough for mine, entirely.
So, and she leans back in the chair, fixing each of you with a solid 3.5-4 seconds of eye-to-eye inspection. Do you know what we do at Homeland Security?
I know what people here do at Homeland Security. I'm willing to bet that's not quite what it is. But if we go with what people think to do, Emma hunts terrorists and threats to the United States. Yeah.
That is, in a nutshell, exactly what we do. In a nutshell. Which is interesting because that, like you suspect, is very little of what we actually end up doing. We're responsible for public safety, public security. A lot of that is in fact anti-terrorism, border security, immigration and customs, disaster prevention and management. And I know that sounds a lot like FEMA, but it's completely different. Unlike most branches of intelligence, we coordinate with several different other branches. And instead of just providing intelligence, we act on it. My father was a carpenter. And so the idea of measuring twice and cutting once was foundational to me. And that's what we at Homeland do. We measure several hundred times before cutting once. That way when we cut, it's as close to perfect as we can make it. That night 3 weeks ago, I was measuring in preparation for cutting. Unfortunately, sometimes being careful, accidents happen. Even when doing your best, even when doing our best, sometimes accidents happen. So first, allow me to apologize for the harm that you've all experienced. If I could change it, I would. Unfortunately, I work for Homeland Security. And this is more than the agency would ever admit to. It's one of the reasons why I'm being redeployed to another theater. But before I share more that hopefully will make sure that you all have the opportunity of healing from this safely, I need to know what it is you think you saw.
First of all, ma'am, while I appreciate the sympathy, I'm pretty solidly certain you weren't actually directly responsible for any of the harm we went through. So, I don't believe in apologizing for things that aren't your fault. With that out of the way, I don't know what to call it. A little bit of magic, a little bit of monstrosity, spiritual darkness all the way around, no matter how you slice it. Wish I knew more details. It would make life a little bit more convenient. At least upstairs.
So, Mr. Abramson, you're speaking for everyone. No one saw anything. There was nothing that you've all witnessed nor considered that you might have witnessed.
No. And I say that I'm trying to think about how say what I saw, okay? someone breed bear and dog together and let it loose in the fucking woods. And crazy man with pale skin standing in the middle of the road like he don't care if he get hit or not. Appear out of nowhere like this angel. Then disappear just as easy. Look right through me. I don't know how to explain that. What sort of thing hit a whole car and flip it over so easy?
You'd be surprised if you've seen half the things that I've seen. Trauma, adrenaline, they can do an amazing amount of interesting things to the body. And Levy.
Well, I passed out from the impact almost immediately and didn't wake up until I was in the ambulance. But Gia's descriptions, but this is the first time that I've ever heard about it, certainly is interesting.
It is. You know, the doctor said that I'd have days like this. Broken in 4 places. And not even that gonna stop my redeployment. Yay. You know, before I leave, I'd like to walk on the beach just once. And, you know, it's, what, 100 feet from here to that little spit of beach on the other side of Beach Boulevard right there. You can see the water, so I don't have many friends, and so I invited you guys out for coffee, hoping it'd be like a, you know, girls' dinner, midday, or something like that. I don't know which one of us is supposed to be Jada Pinkett Smith and which one of us is supposed to be Tiffany Haddish, but I'd really appreciate walking out by the water. You guys join me?
Sure. I
This
offered to
might
help her out of the chair.
As she,
This is oh sorry.
Despite herself and her tenseness of hearing the movie mentioned something she's familiar with, she does kind of chuckle and nod that she will go.
and Levy, what are you saying?
This is Amanda Carver? Like the woman that okay. I just want to make sure because I thought there was another agent somehow that was waiting for us. Alright. Levy will say yes out of politeness and pettiness.
As you all rise up and head out onto Ramonita and making your way towards the beach, the moment that you're roughly about half the distance between the coffee shop's patio and beach, she slows her steps. I need you all to take your phones out of your battery. I need you to put your phones anywhere but on your person. We'll come back and get them, but we need to talk in complete privacy. And she keeps walking.
Okay, I put my phone inside my suit jacket, and I just, gesture, everybody put your phones inside my suit jacket, and I'll put my suit jacket down somewhere in plain sight.
She quickly takes the cover off her phone, takes the back and the battery out, and then puts all of it into Levi's jacket. Elijah's jacket.
He is gonna just turn off his phone, in everybody's eyesight. He's gonna give his phone to Elijah.
It is literally a 3-minute walk from the coffee shop there on Romanita to the little spit of land on the opposite side of Beach Boulevard. Beach Boulevard is, for the most part, an actual expressway in regards to how everyone drives, which is interesting because there is an absolute speed rule in Mississippi, meaning the posted speed is the fastest you could ever get caught going. The imperative part being get caught. So the speed demons up and down beach are a rarity, but a rarity that happens often enough to be relatively regular. So as you all risk your lives crossing Beach Avenue, even with the light, there's something really sad about Amanda standing in a sling, in a business casual suit, on a small enough portion of beach that if she were able to stretch her arms out, fingertip to fingertip, she'd be taking up the entirety of that spit of land. Now the beach does of course get larger and more expansive the more you head north along Beach Boulevard toward the actual beach proper, Bay St. Louis, but that portion of the beach, even at noon on a weekday, is filled with beach goers. Most of them of course being tourists because the locals have jobs to do, and the retirees knows that the only thing you're gonna get going out to the beach at this hour of the day is skin cancer. But all the same, she stands on the little spit of land that is sad somehow, waiting for you all to join her. When you do, she immediately begins speaking, almost as if no time has passed and time itself is of the essence. I have to be quick. She turns and looks back toward the coffee house, not far from where you all left your jacket filled with phones. As per usual, on a business day, there are lots of contractor vans and vehicles moving up and down the street, and Romanita, while not a major thoroughfare, is still a relatively large street. So of course there are lots of vehicles parked in the lots and on the driveways and moving up and down the street. Beach Boulevard itself is another matter entirely. Most people treat it as if it was in fact a expressway. It's not really an expressway. It's not the 10 or the 90. It is literally just Beach Boulevard, though it doesn't stop folks, especially tourists, from treating it as if it's their own personal drag strip. Too many vehicles to get paranoid, because if you did, you'd freeze catatonically. But the way that she looks, you're sure that there's someone out there in a dark van with headphones on with a parabolic mic pointing in your general direction. But at least with the lapping waves of the water behind you and the passing vehicles, it's a shield for small conversational tones. I am being redeployed, but nowhere within range of being able to help you. Part of our operation here, was finding agents who are acting against the public welfare, many of whom seem to be involved with or major movers within a certain illegal trade. They're moving contraband from point to point across the coast. They're involved with various aspects of the illegal drug markets. They are involved with human trafficking. They are involved with organized crime, and they are involved with several different varieties of I don't know how to say this, illegal medical practices. They are connected with much of the graft running through BSPD. And while we hoped to have had more definitive information on them by now, the investigation has run its course. It seems as if their major players have up and disappeared. We tracked them to a trailer park and to a Juniper Industries, which has suddenly disappeared. They have targeted most of, well, your associates in various degrees. Each of you have been connected with their markets, their rackets, and they're still out there. While we have no proof that Juniper Industries is still in operation, we are positive that they are. I'm positive that they are. But there's a lot of pressure for us just to drop the investigation and move on. Your lives are no longer out of danger. I kept in contact with you, so if they made a move against you, I'd be able to act more likely as an act of avengement against your deaths. I thought that someone or someone's there at the gathering were part of these illegal rackets, and I thought it might have been you three. Unfortunately, it seems as if I was the target for that night. And they finally caught up with me. And my superiors believe that it's best for me elsewhere, anywhere but here. And while you won't accept my apology, it's true. My proximity to you and keeping tabs on you have moved you within their sight. You're no longer invisible to them or my superiors, which brings its own level of potential eventual risk. So I want you all to be wary and be as safe as you possibly can. This conspiracy is baked into the fabric of Bay St. Louis, and you all are in their sights.
Will there be another agent taking over for you here? Or are we on our own?
I don't want you to be on your own, but yes, we are effectively abandoning Hancock County for the foreseeable future. I did make a few contacts in several local communities. There's a Mr. Estrada, a Miguel Estrada, who is operating a security company. He has ties to several Salvadoran organizations, and I trust him to act in your best interests if you all reach out to him. I'd give you his number, but it's not safe for me to use my phone much any longer, and not to mention I don't have my phone on me. But his name is Miguel Angel Estrada. He can be found typically in Long Beach. There's a Long Beach market and deli that he operates off of Pineville Road. It's Pineville and Mitchell, but you should be able to Google that location and get to him. Get to him, utilize his network, make sure that your friends and family members are under his care and you are in his good graces. The man is old, but he is willing and able. And out of every member of local law enforcement and victims of local law enforcement, he is the one person that I trust more than, well, he's the one person that I trust. In all of my months of active pursuing this case here, he would be the one. So, this is it. I wish you all luck and I hope you all survive. Thank you for being a few flashes of bright in all of this dark. It's a really shitty world. And she begins walking northeast along the beach, moving into the press and throng of all of the tourists and those who slathering themselves in oil and looking very much like lobsters being roasted on a grill.
You're very welcome. I don't say that loud enough. She might not hear me, but I say it anyway. I think that counts as marching orders, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like to me. I don't think we ever gonna see that one again. Or if we do, it's not gonna be in a good circumstance at all. But yeah, sounded like she gave us some sort of purpose to what happened to us. And we should reach out to this man, she told us.
Sooner the better. You want to all drive there right now?
Levy is gonna look at his watch and he's gonna say, sure, it's way too depressing in the office.
How are you guys getting there?
It's Long Beach. That's a little far to walk. I think we're driving.
Mind if I suggest that either Elijah or me driving this time?
She keeps them both a self-depreciating smirk and holds her hands up like, "Hey, I'm not arguing with you. You wanna drive and mess up your car? You do that."
Tell you what, I drive the cheapest vehicle here and the sturdiest. We can go in my truck. Be a little tight because not really meant for passengers, but
Well, I mean, I don't have any objection.
go back, pick up the coat, give everybody back their cell phones, put the batteries back in, blah blah.
There's a strange ability in Mississippi for things to just flow. Beach Boulevard is a shitty street to drive on, even though it gives you great views of the Gulf and of the bay. And as you all take beach north till you get to the 90, the Bay St. Louis Bridge is, well, locally considered one of the great seven wonders of the world. But it's just a bridge. But the fact that it is a bridge that stretches the entire length from one isthmus to the next, providing you equally breathtaking views of the bay and the Gulf as you merge down and around 90 through past Christian. It is chef's kiss to die for. It reminds you that there is a natural beauty that can't be denied here on the coast. Here on the Gulf Coast, water and earth combining into this symbiotic relationship that hides the poverty, that hides the ugliness of its past, and it hides, well, the monsters. As you all drive into Long Beach, taking the 90 up and around until you get to until you get to Beat Line and take that up, you will take that north. The signs of abject poverty, even in the wealthier areas of the coast, is obvious. The moment that you stray north of the tourist areas, the tracts of land become larger and larger, and the homes become smaller and smaller. The signs of care and maintenance of the municipality all but disappear. Places where the tourists are less likely to visit, the street lamps grow farther and farther apart. You can imagine being in these areas after dark and knowing that one wrong turn would put you firmly into the full grip of night's embrace. It would make it so that the light from the street lamps would be nothing more than a hallucination, far enough away that they would have no effect whatsoever except for landscapes and points to pilot and navigate by, not to use for actual visual acuity. There's something depressing about that. Things that you've all taken for granted for your years and years here on the coast. Never really thought about why the further you move from the actual coastline, the farther you move from the tourist traps, the darker and darker the night gets. Making that right going east on Pineville, finally you pass by, PJ Sun Control. There's that UFC gym that you years ago saw commercials for, heard commercials for on your Apple Music or whatever music programs, music apps you all listen to in your off time. You see several restaurants, and the houses are a little closer together, huddling around the distant placed street lamps until you reach Mitchell. And sure enough, there's Long Beach Market and Deli. It's a good old-fashioned sort of Sam the Butcher style deli. Meats freshly butchered, where what you see is what you get. There's no more in the back. There's no huge freezer stocked filled with meat shipped from various places. And you can see things that were hunted in season. There's fresh wild hog from Texas. There's pheasant. There's the starting of the deer hunting season. You see fresh venison and bear meat, along with your chicken and your beef. But there's a surety based on the fact that you walk into such a chilled environment with even still the scent of blood in the air from the butcher cases, from the fresh caught fish, that triggers that night to run through your mind. Turning end over end, being tossed left and right and full around 720 degrees, 180 degrees, end over end. The taste of your own blood, the beeping of the hospital equipment that monitored your pulse ox, your so forth and so on. The constant beeping that night, the discombobulation and trying to right yourself, the scent of blood triggers it. Now, a place this large, you'd expect there to be easily 70, 80 employees. There's not. There's about 15 you see wearing maroon t-shirts and jeans, over which is leather aprons, many of them festooned with a slickness that lets you know that they at least wash their aprons between whenever they're butchering. Many of them wearing gloves that stretch just short of the elbow, clearly with chainmail in them, designed to keep them from slicing off fingers or losing bits of themselves to someone else slicing off fingers. You'd expect the managers or key holders or whatever they are, the middle management for this place, to be walking around in shirt and tie or polos with, brightly clean pressed slacks. But instead, you find people that are wearing hard hats, denoting their slightly elevated positions. One of them is a man that looks a very spry 70, 72. He's about 5'3", and underneath his age there's a sense of strength, because he quietly sidles alongside one of the guests, nodding, greeting them seemingly by name as you all enter. And they talk for a few moments, and he nods and he points softly at one of the cases, and they exchange a smile, and off they go to get their selection or make their cut of meat home with them. And as you all walk through the door, there's something noticeably absent. And Miguel spies you all, and he saunters over. Welcome, my friend, to Long Beach Market and Deli. I can tell that you are new here. Is there something in particular that you might be looking for?
Well, just a quick question, storyteller. I have a dot in language fluency. Is that just with English, or maybe I've picked up a tiny bit of Spanish along the way or anything like that?
Do you have linguistics?
No.
Alright, so it is just English. You can pick up bits and pieces of one or two other languages, but it's not conversational in the least.
Okay, fair enough. Just wanted to make sure before I started launching off. Good afternoon. I two things actually. The first one, and as I said, I'm doing this because when I get uneasy, sometimes I like to eat as a comfort thing. It explains a bit of the belly. I see that it says deli on the outside. Can we get pre-made sandwiches here?
Pre-made?
Or can we get to have we order a sandwich and it will get made for us here?
Yes. Is there something I noticed by your dress? Is there something you prefer, kosher or halal? I don't.
Kosher would be preferred, yes.
It is the same thing, but I understand. And he points to the back left counter, which is separate from all of the other meat counters. Even though each of the meat counters have spaces for food to be prepared that is removed from the blood from the slicer and the knives and so forth and so on. But that one has a very meticulously isolated aspect to it. And there's not a long line there, but there is a slightly older gentleman, a little hunched back, beaten down by life, standing with his hands behind his back, waiting patiently as the young girl handles the slicer and constructs a perfect corned beef and pastrami sandwich.
Ooh, that has another one of those has my name on it. But okay, before I get there, and second question, we are here looking for a man named. Let me see if I get this right. I believe Miguel Angel Estrada. Do you happen to know where we might find that?
I do. Who might be we that is looking for Mr. Estrada?
My name is Elijah Abramson, and I gesture. This is Chia, and this is Levy. And Miguel's not with us, right?
No, he is not.
Okay. We were referred to you by Ms. Carver.
Oh, I like her. She is very, very kind. She helped, and he motions around you all, some of the financing, introducing me to individuals that prove sadly less trustworthy than they should be. Let's do this, shall we? And he reaches inside. There seems to be an inside pocket on the leather apron, and he pulls out 3 business cards. And on the left side, he reaches in and pulls out a pen, and he initials one card, and he moves to the next, initials all 3, and placing the pen away, he hands and offers them to you all. Take one of these, and it's good for a free combination, a sandwich, and we make chips on the premises, fresh sliced russet chips, as well as our own pickling services. But here, let's have lunch, shall we?
Don't need to ask me twice. I beeline towards the kosher counter. I order the lovely pastrami sandwich that I just saw the lady make for somebody else, and I'm going for the gusto. I'm getting the chips. If my doctor could see me, he's like, "Oh, come on, you gotta hold back at least on something." But nope, I'm not holding back. I'm getting the full 9s. And when he said they make their own pickles, I'm getting myself the kosher dill pickle straight up. That is getting added to the combo package.
Levy, Chia,
Levy is more interested in talking to this person more than actually getting the food. They are in a fish market, right?
Yeah, there are fresh caught fish as well.
Okay. He does not like the smell of fish, so he's gonna refrain from ordering food. But he doesn't enjoy seeing Elijah being like so excited about food though.
Chia.
She is also pretty tickled by Elijah's excitement over sandwiches, but she had already eaten before she came out to have lunch, and kind of sticks close to Levy, but thanks the man anyway. Of course, I will definitely come back and visit soon for just for food, but for today I think I'm ready to sit and chat, as it were.
Well, and he motions slightly ahead of him, even though he starts walking in that direction, giving you all his back as he clasps both hands behind his back and one foot in front of the other. Based on his physical age, let's just call it what it is. It's a miracle that he is upright. Yet he moves with purpose. And stops one of the employees that's passing you all by. Could you instruct? And he motions towards Elijah. Where we'll be in the employee dining. Sí, patrón, sí. And the kid moves off. And as the kid moves off, he sighs and the youth of today, my friends, the youth of today. This is my cousin's nephew. So no direct relation, but I provide an opportunity. And while he is supposed to be outside collecting shopping carts and assisting guests park their vehicles, he is here, being within sight lines of Kenesha. And he motions to the girl at the kosher counter. I'd be upset if not, for there is a value, I believe, in knowing what someone else's weaknesses are. And while we don't have the best customer service because he is inside pining away after someone outside of his league, I know what sort of girl he likes. All the same. So, Agent Carver mentioned me as, what, an information source? Did she remark on my tiramisu recipe? I like her, but I sometimes question many things. You understand. It is not paranoid if there really are things out to get you, I believe is the saying.
That is the case in our situation. There are things out to get us. And she said you might be able to help us keep our families and ourselves safe from those things which are out to get us.
Oh, she did. I see. I believe I might be able to help. I can help you gain the experience that you need to keep your family safe, to keep yourself safe. It will, of course, require some measure of personal bravery. I'm not sure that you're ready for such a thing. If you are, then my help will be priceless. If you are not, I'm sure that Miss Carver informed you as to the severity of the forces out there tonight in many organizations, and where they have their fingers and all manner of things that if we were anywhere else I would not mention.
Storyteller, did he wait for me to show up before having this conversation, or am I still getting my sandwich?
You're still getting your sandwich, but you're coming along fairly shortly. So as you come through the door to the employee lunchroom, and they're sitting at what can best be described as a cafeteria lunchroom table from high school. You settle in your lovingly made sandwich and fresh pickles and fresh chips. Biting into the bread, there is a immediate understanding that while he mentions the pickles and mentions the chips, that the bread was baked today as well.
This is food meant for a king. You run a classy establishment here.
Thank you for the compliment.
Bread, good meat. Good bread, good meat, good pickle. Ooh, there's nothing wrong with any of this.
This is good. I'm glad. A person who understands their needs and wants is a person who might survive. Oh, yeah. I've been standing since 5 a.m. this morning. So, Miss Carver provided you with the doorway, and I can help you get through it. But you all must make that decision for yourselves.
I have a curious glance over because I wasn't privy to a bunch of stuff that was just said.
He understands why Carver sent us to him, but he is saying it takes some sort of fortitude to be prepared to step into this world that he might help us with. And he can help us, but it has to be our own choice and our own steps to take us through the door we need to protect our families.
I've already been putting in elbow grease and buffing up my home security. I'm fine with doing more to buff up my home security, trust me.
He stands up and takes off his apron. Underneath is a surprisingly fit form for his age. And you guess he's somewhere between 70 and God. He slips on one of the hanging button downs that are there, hanging from where most coats would be. He pulls a phone out and starts swiping as he walks back to the table. And he sets the phone on the table in front of you. There's a video, and it takes a second for you to realize that it's not a video. It's a FaceTime. The other side of the screen is a massive man, or to be perfectly honest, a formerly massive man on his back in a hospital room. Tubes coming from his trach, splints all over his arms. His head, only half of it shaved, as things were clearly done underneath the skull, underneath the skin. Unshaven though he is, there is a fading, defined, strong jawline. And the muscles, the few that remain mostly visible, are clearly starting to atrophy through his shoulders and chest. This is what underestimating what we face will do to each of us if we are lucky. This is what it will do to your family members. This is what it will do to bystanders who help you. This is the cost if you are blessed, if you are lucky, and if the monsters decide you are not worth anything more to them. Chewie, raise your hand, say hello. These are potential friends from Carver, the lady you like. The formerly large person in the bed tries for a smile. The faltering shake of the jowls of that formerly strong jawline turning up at the corners and then falling back because the strain is too much. And he ends the call. This is my cousin Chewie. His family for years and years were defenders of our people. I'm Salvadorian. And his family goes back to our Spanish conquerors. His side of the family, at least. One of the monsters decided to teach him a lesson. He has survived 19 surgeries. And there's at least half as many more, maybe twice, along with years of physical therapy, just so that he might walk, just so that he might have full use of his limbs. You understand that we wrestle with forces that run the world, even more powerful than Beyonce.
Again, she is trying to smirk.
Well, I'll be honest. We're already targets. So we're kind of already pot committed.
I 100% agree with Elijah, and we are not people who lack a motivation. We're new to all of this, that's for sure. I do not understand this display. All three of us were involved in a crash just 3 weeks ago, and we survived. Is that enough of a show?
No. I wasn't trying to motivate you, my friend. I was trying to demotivate you. I was trying to have you understand what this road you are stepping on might mean. And while the physical is the easiest to grasp, that very thing may happen in tu cabeza, in your mind. It very well may destroy you. Or worse, destroy someone you love. Agent Carver needs soldiers for a fight, and she fights for principles, but her leash is held by others, and so she only sees the fight, not the families ruined or changed. And so I was attempting to give you an out. A few weeks ago, if you are who I think you are, the police caught evidence of what they're calling the Wolfman, a brujo who can take on the shape of animals. To do so, he needs blood, and he needs to enact a ritual. They have worked very, very hard to keep news of the Wolfman from spreading, because, and I have no proof of this, but I have a feeling that the Wolfman is not alone, and that he is working for El Monstro, is what I call them. They are the cold ones. There are myths about them, but they have powers, each of them. Some can throw vehicles, cars, as if they were kids' toys. Some of them can leap from buildings and land as if nothing has transpired. Some of them can reach into your mind. And worse yet, some of them don't ever respect the boundaries of your home. Some of them can violate the laws of man and beast, and then still others can pull blood from your eyes. These are all things that I have seen the after effects for. These are things that I have collected the evidence from. My organization has a few friends and associates amongst the police force. But they are friends, they're not soldiers. If you are willing, we will collect more evidence, we will catch them in the act, and we will do our best to make sure that we are the last victimized by the monsters. There's a few positions tonight on our watch. Would you all like to join?
I simply nod.
As he was making the descriptions of the things that these creatures can do, she kind of leans in closer and closer each time. And then as he asks about whether they would like to join, she said, Can I ask one thing first, please?
Yes.
Can they manipulate the darkness? Come out of shadow like they were there, then they're not. Make shadows do strange things. Are that them?
I've not seen it, but we do have eyewitness testimony stating just that. A groundskeeper for a local church gave an eyewitness account of just that. A priest, a woman priest that he was in the service of is claimed to do just that. According to him, she's just above average height, extraordinarily fit, well dressed, and as he speaks, Chia can fill in the blanks. Mid-back, long black hair, slacks that look as if they were designed solely for her, equally dark as the shadows that she constructs. A suit coat that is classically cut with a single button, underneath of which she wears a vest and a dark button-up shirt that's all various shades of dark shadow. No makeup, yet it seems as if she is just permanently frozen at the epitome of cold beauty.
As those thoughts of that picture comes to mind, without even realizing she's doing it, tears start rolling down her cheeks profusely, and her hands kind of just start shaking to the point where she puts them in a fist and puts them in her lap.
He pulls out a monogrammed handkerchief, MACE, and he hands it to you.
Taking it, she nods but looks to the other two. That's her. She flipped the car.
And in the midst of all of this, Levy,
I am not sure if I am fortunate or unfortunate. I'm not able to bear witness to any of the... Well, I guess I just saw that initial glimpse while we at the bar. I understand the danger this posed, but I do think that if I just go back to how I lived before, I will miss something really important in my life. So, yes, I will join you to the night watch.
Excellent. Good deal, my friends. I look forward to meeting you here tonight at sunset. I have several friends of our organization watching a particular individual we believe might lead us to, if not that monster, at least one very close, very highly placed with them. We will follow them, we will detail their movements, and we will decide how best to accomplish our goal of keeping everyone safe. And tomorrow, I may have you go with me to meet our associates in law enforcement, our friends that are paid in favors and kind for their time to help us. We are supposed to meet at the Waffle House, not far from here.
Kia nods and attempts to, after having carefully dabbed her eyes, offer the handkerchief back.
He of course takes it and slips it back into his pocket. He stands up, shakes everybody's hand, and heads back to putting on the leather apron to get back onto the floor and continue working his shift. There's no way that someone that old should be that spry. Almost as if having a purpose has revitalized him or kept him from falling into decrepitude with age. Leaving you all at the table as if you are employees and belong here. Giving you moments to talk.
As if to try to lighten the mood a little bit, I say, "Oh, these chips are yummy. My doctor says I should cut back on my salt. You all really should try some. They're delicious. Make the conversation go a little easier."
Did they handmade those? Maybe they put like less salt than just like regular brand you can buy in the market.
I saw them slice the potatoes.
Well, I count that as healthier.
Enjoy, please.
Levy's gonna take a chip. What flavor is that?
Oh, just standard salt.
Oh.
There are no preservatives. It is actually potato, not boiled, extruded, reconstituted chip-like device. It is an actual potato. There's something strangely vintage about that. There's something unheard of about that. There's no way. But yes, that very much is the real article, the real deal.
She'll also take a couple and kind of just sigh, kind of pulling herself back together, realizing it has shown them a side of herself she never meant to. And looking to the other two.
I think it
this
might.
is very important.
I think it might behoove us to try to figure out a way to adjust our sleep schedules. Because I have a feeling this night mission work is going to take us to some pretty wee hours of the morning.
Any chance today is a Friday?
No, unfortunately not.
Darn it.
And it is 41 after the hour. Let's take a quick 10-minute here and be back at 51 after.
Alright.
Welcome back, everybody. How we doing?
I'm here.
Snacking.
Snacking can be good. Too many mentions of chips and pickles.
All foods I can't currently have, but it is fun to imagine I could.
I'm glad to help vicariously. Alright, while we wait on Ernie, Chia, questions, suggestions. Any off the top of the head? Any thoughts? Any considerations that are needed in the moment?
Well, in terms of other out-of-character thank yous, the reference to Chewie was quite nice.
Chewie? Who's that?
A certain deceased kindred knows.
All right. Glad that you caught that. Welcome back. So we tossed out the opportunities for any questions, suggestions, or any hypotheses in the moment. And with the gauntlet being thrown, with the need for considerations as to where everyone was heading, how they would get there, the opportunity for communication sitting there before the developing cell, is there anything else pertinent that Elijah, Levi, or Chia would discuss before preparing for this evening's potential baptism?
Because I have a bit of a penchant towards thinking about the weaponry, given that I always run around carrying a piece. I basically always run around with a minimum of 2.5 weapons, as a matter of course. So I'll ask them, what do you have in terms of self-defense potential? What do you have to help protect yourself?
That is a very good question. I have not seen you use the gun of yours, but I wouldn't imagine me being very handy with that. I mean, I guess I could try to grab a knife or something. I did fencing. That's 20 years ago. Yeah. I guess trying to remain hidden and not being seen probably would be the best strategy.
Oh, mind you, against the type of stuff we're talking about, I doubt my skills with what I can do are that impressive to the creatures we're up against. But anything to make yourself less of a target, in my mind, is a good thing.
Okay. A pepper spray and a taser. That's it.
Hey, a taser's electricity. I don't think even whatever these monsters are won't notice if you shock them with electricity. Pepper spray is probably useless, but the taser is a good thing. Very good thing.
So I take it that after a mention of weapons, everyone is driven back to the car and make their preparations for being away from their loved ones for an evening or more. Because there's the or more. It's always the unknown that causes the greatest amount of trepidation, the greatest amount of doubt. Every dog barks in their own yard. Their strength of purpose and the many being part of a group think or a fellowship or even just a motley of individuals who are all playing the same game. There is a strength of purpose that is easily translatable. It's easy to see and easy to find. But when you all break company and you're back to the illusory comfort and security of your individual lives, the wife, the kids, the home in the relative suburbs, the texts from mom, the group chats from work, the nosy secretary who's in everybody's business and is a bother and an annoyance, but is somehow well loved because you've grown accustomed to them. All of the trappings of your day-to-day life, lulling you back to sleep, lulling you back that no, you don't really need to meet some strange Salvadoran grocery owner at sunset. Who says stuff like that? Sunset. There's a time when the sun's gonna go down. That's the time you say. You don't say sunset. You say 6:15, 7:15, 8 o'clock, whatever the time is. You don't say things like sunset. It's weird. It's inconsistent. And yet, in the quietude of your own life, the image, the memory burned into the retinas of a formerly strong, upwardly mobile individual laid low dealing with these things drives home the stakes that you are playing for. And the way Miguel spoke, he didn't need soldiers, he needs people that care. Who talks like that? And maybe it was just his accent. Maybe that's what threw you off. Maybe that's what helped like cloud the brain. You didn't say anything about his accent. You didn't say anything about him being so noble, holier than thou. The pomposity of it, the audacity of it. And didn't Carver say she trusted him? Why was he being all cloak and dagger? And who keeps monogrammed handkerchiefs? Why don't you just buy a package of Kleenex? And as you all mull over those details and figure out where you place the value of all of the niggling doubts coming back to rear their ugly head, how do you all extricate your lives from your purpose of the evening? How do you explain to loved ones, I'm gonna go meet someone I just met tonight to hang out with them after dark? Or do you? Do you pull the old 90s cartoon Wolverine and I go where I want to go? Or do you sneak out like some immature teenager who has access to a ladder from their window? How do you leave your life to go play in the dark?
Well, in the interim, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to tell my wife, if anything suspicious happens, we've got that safe house for a reason. Board yourself up in it all. Of course, she's going to probably look at me funny. And I'll just say, well, as a lawyer, sometimes you get people who aren't too interested in who you're representing, and there have been some threats, and I gotta go take care of stuff to make sure there are no unnecessary miscommunications. And you just be safe now, okay?
The balance of a good partner is accepting the insanity that exists in other organisms and other life forms and their partners and their other halves. And Elijah's wife is a good partner. She tolerates and accepts his eccentricities. And she does her best to inform him and show him that she cares, that she loves him, and all of what that entails, the insanity that he brings to her existence. And somehow that's enough. Levy, Chia.
She wouldn't have to do too much prep because she lives by herself anyway. So she doesn't really have to explain too much anything to people. She'd maybe shoot up a message to her mom, say going out tonight, and leave it at that. Making sure that she packs her miniature toolkit in her laptop. They are going with her, but for the most part, yeah, she doesn't really have to answer to anybody.
Does she have any pets?
No. Not really. Like, they make too much hair and they get into her technology, and that's not something she wants.
Okay. And Levy?
First question. When exactly is this meetup? Like, can it be 10 o'clock? Or is it more like a once the sun set kind of situation?
Levy didn't verify that. It's based on their understanding of what meeting back here just after sunset means.
Right, but he did say that after the sunset, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is annoying. But Elijah and Chia, they didn't actually say anything about carpooling.
They did not?
Yeah, so just we're gonna individually go there and arrive. In that case, Levy will just do things in his pace, which meaning that he will bring flowers and try to make dinner for his wife and family tonight. He's gonna treat them well, maybe too suspicious well, and he's gonna try to tuck the girls in bed, and then he will have a conversation with his wife saying that he has some really important business to do, but really being real elusive. His wife probably will not be happy about this, but she probably has some suspicions about how much where all those money come from when he's working as a professor. So he's hoping that she will not press too much, but he's trying to be I'm going to do this thing. He will not mention the danger though. Just said, I will see you tomorrow. Maybe after work.
I see. That being the case, would Levy be so kind as to go ahead and roll his manipulation and subterfuge as high as possible?
That's 4.
Oh, that is a lot. He's a charming sort of manipulative individual, isn't he?
He's hoping the dinner and the flower will help, and also the thing with the kids.
There is no real limit to Levy's understanding of how to best profit from his knowledge in regards to ancient cultures. There's no limit to the ways that he can make certain things disappear as if they've never existed in all of the records for the school or for the corporate sponsored digs that he operates. There's no limit to the number of ways that he's able to think around and manipulate around corners to get to his end goal of increasing his personal profits. However, his wife is not so easily swayed. His wife is no shrinking violet, and she loves him dearly and tolerates the eccentricities and the strange behaviors because she knows that he will always do his best to remain safe, to always come back to them, to always do what's right for them. But there's a doubt that he planted in her head. There is a worry that he planted deep enough that it is growing its own forest in her heart. She was there at the hospital within 40 minutes of receiving the call. That literally meant that she trundled the kids, got dressed, locked the house, and made it the 50-minute drive in almost half that time. That doubt hasn't been assuaged. Him being home, not flying off to this dig or driving to that one or leading this class field trip to God knows where, didn't assuage those doubts. And so as he gets the kids in bed and reads them their favorite story and otherwise maneuvers and manipulates the household to fall in line silently. She waits until he begins to make his move, until he begins to gather this and that little pocket stuff, and bothers to keep on his outside shoes. She corners him. And at first she tries the silent, loving sternness, just watching. And then she closes the space, arms crossed, and trying not to be cross with him while it radiating off of her in waves. And when it's clear that none of the silent cues are being picked up on, she asks, "Is this supposed to be our last meal? Is this gonna be the final time they see him? Is this how you want to leave the family? This the memory you want to leave? More secrets?"
No, honey, it is... Okay. I am sorry that 3 weeks ago I broke your trust in me. I didn't keep myself safe. But you have to understand this. I am doing risky things, but all the things that I've done has paid back in some form of ways. The way that we're living is good, and I want to keep on doing that. But you have to trust me to let me do my job. And I know that I'm asking a lot, but just think about it. The way that you can trust somebody is just by doing it in the first place. And I promise you that I will come back. Like, you will not... I will try to keep myself really safe. You will not hurt bad things. I want to be in your life. This is definitely not the last dinner. He's gonna try to see like his wife's reaction.
She lowers her head and then crosses her arms across her chest. Staring at the floor, silent. The seconds ticking by and slowly turning into minutes, hours later. There is the fear and the doubt instilled in her. And in not bombarding her with just over the top and wild truth, it does nothing to dislodge that care and that concern, that fear of losing you. And just when you think, as you're gauging by the set of her shoulders, that there's a chance that I can slip away now, this will be perfect, this will be fine, she's okay. Her shoulders begin to rise and fall with the weight and volume of silent tears. she's an ugly crier. She gives it her full throat and she wails and falls and gives into all of her emotions. It's one of the many things that you love about her. She is honest and full of passion for everything, including the bad. There's nothing scarier than someone who is full-throated, fully communicative, being silent, save the silent tears. The sobbing that is so painful that it doesn't allow any sound to escape. And then there's the surprisingly bass-filled thump, as tears having run their course down her cheeks, along her jawline, drop and hit the wood floors. Big, heavy, fat tears filled with all the fears, all of the full weight of passion and love that she has for you. Each drop sounding as if some large thing was rumbling the floor.
If she allows, Levi is gonna try to hold her in his arm, and he's gonna try to grab some napkins and just like give it to her. In some weird that he's actually crying out all the anxiety and the fear in his heart as well. What time is it right now?
Oh, it's a little past 10:30. Sunset was about 3.5 hours ago.
Okay. Levi is gonna try to sit her down and let her breathe. Maybe pour her a cup of smoothing hot tea. And I mean, she's got to stop crying at some point in time, right?
Eventually, yes. Eventually the tears will stop.
Oh gosh. He's gonna break her heart. This is so sad. And I'm assuming that I cannot attempt the same role again.
Nope.
Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah, I think the best bet at this point is that she cries herself to sleep and then he can just sleep away. I don't know. Okay, he will try to give her comfort. He will try to wipe off her tear. He might even try to distract her by telling some stories that from his workplace about the dig site. But
So-
if time is getting close to, let's say, right now it's 10:30 to like 11:30, he will say, I will have to go.
Alright, sounds like a plan.
Yes, sorry, it's too, yeah.
So as it,
Painful, that's the-
so as Levy is dealing with the cost of family life and extenuating passions conflating with fear, Elijah and Chia arriving at the deli in your various vehicles. The last rays of sun still tickling the sky. What, if anything, do you all discuss as the deli is being closed, the last few workers straggling and making their way out, the lights being flicked off?
I actually offer to say a prayer for us both.
I have not been to church since I was a little girl, but yeah, I will accept if you want to say words.
Alright, so,
Night time has become terrifying for me.
yeah, I pray for our safety and our vision in the upcoming night. And for God to give us a fruitful evening. Helps us get the information we do need to help keep our community safe. Yeah. I do this in English so that Chia can hear. So Chia knows what I'm saying. I don't do it in Hebrew for her sake.
So having stood around and hung out and prayed in the parking lot, the sun dipping below the horizon line, there's something childishly fulfilling about realizing the lights in the parking lot don't go out. While the building itself is dark and closed and locked, the parking lot has several almost daylight level lamps throughout it, lighting the entirety of the parking lot, meaning that the darkness that quickly follows on the sun dipping below the horizon line doesn't ever do anything more than hover and wait over your heads like the sword of Damocles. 5 minutes turns into 20, and 20 into an hour, and an hour into an hour and a quarter. And you've all been here in the parking lot waiting on Miguel and waiting on Levy and waiting and waiting. The funny thing is, most members of modern society don't understand or don't cotton to waiting. Not in any public manner. Not in any way that has them loitering and taking up space. It's annoying, it's grating, it's, well, all of those things and then some. Because there's a societal social anxiety that builds upon itself if you have the opportunity to be alone with your thoughts. So you all sit.
After the prayer, and as we're sitting there waiting, Chia looks to Elijah. Didn't Levy say he coming? It's very late. You think you're okay?
I can't tell you. The man, unfortunately, is, and on day one, right, he lies to the agent about his name for reasons I do not understand. So, I have to say, when it comes to him, I believe him when I see him. I believe it when I see him. I believe it when he shows it, not a moment before. If Miguel shows up and asks us to like go somewhere else and join him on something, Levy's not here, I say we go.
I agree, but also Miguel late too. He said just off for sunset. Sunset be gone already. Should we try to reach out for him too? She looks for the business card that she had gotten from him earlier to see what number is on it, if there's like a personal number or if it's the number of the shop.
I peer in through the shop window just to see if maybe he's inside.
The number on the card doesn't make any sense because it's a New York number based on area code. And the shop is in fact dark. There's nothing on except for emergency lights that are kept on after hours.
Say the number's a New York number?
Yes.
Is there any way I could try to see if the number is a fake or if it's hiding a message?
What do you mean a fake? Are you just going to dial a number or?
I mean, sure. I'll dial the number first and call it just to see. Because sometimes it's just people move, right? They keep their old number or whatever.
Completely understandable.
So yeah, I'll call the number first, and then after that, I'll try to see if maybe the number seems like a message to me or not. If that doesn't work.
The hilarious, absolute hilarity is that when dialing a 212 number, you expect "Hey yo!" or some such, but the Spanish that comes through from the other side of that line is slow enough on the surface that it sounds as if molasses is drying in the sun, but it's also too quick to be easily connected with anything even remotely overheard with most Spanish dialects. And it's clear that the person answered while talking to someone else.
So I just say into the phone Miguel, and then wait to see if anybody actually talks back.
Oh, they talk back. Oh, dear God, do they talk back. No, he's not here right now. Who is this? Why are you calling my home?
Lo siento, this probably is a wrong number.
No, this is Miguel's number, but this is Griselda. I'm his secretary. This number is only for friends and associates of the Brotherhood. Who are you?
My name is Elijah Abramson. He told us to meet him at the deli after sunset.
Oh, you're part of that. All right. What's your TAN card number? Or are you one of the seminarians?
I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what you mean.
Your TAN card, your permanent employee card for security? Or are you one of the seminarians? One of the former priests? Come on, keep up, please.
This is our first night joining him on anything, so.
Oh God, more freelancer. Oh my God. Do we have your next of kin on file so that if anything goes untoward, we can make sure that they're accounted for? And has he already talked about the insurance plan?
No, but I am more than willing to give you my next of kin information right now if you are willing to take it.
Yeah, sure. It's probably better to get it now while you can still use your teeth. Hang on one second. Let me bring up the database.
Very wry smile cracking my face right now. Gallows humor, clearly.
Okay, I have the database open. What country are you from?
US of A.
Oh. Where are your parents from?
Israel and US of A.
Oh. Okay. I have to look up a couple of things. Is this the best number to reach you on? I'll give you a call right back.
Sure.
Okay. And then she goes off in Spanish as she ends the call.
I just look at you and go, apparently this is a professional organization, and that was a lippy secretary. She will call me back, she says.
Yeah, kind of brow raise and I'm not sure how I feel about giving people my next of kin.
Well, I'd like somebody to make sure just in case something goes south, so I don't mind.
15 minutes passes. And a windowless Econoline pulls into the lot. The sliding side door opens and Miguel steps out. There's a girl with him, and by girl it is a clearly young adult, maybe, if you are to gauge anything based on her appearance, maybe 21, maybe. But the way that she handles herself, the way that she moves, the way that she immediately sizes you all up, it is clear that she has more experience than the average, and clearly has less than positive intentions for anyone and everyone she happens to look upon. It's the sort of sizing up that doesn't require her knowing your measurement. Oh, he's a 44 regular. Oh, he's wearing a size 11 shoe. No, it's, oh, okay, that's a standard casket. Yeah, no, we don't need any frills for that one. Oh, you're probably gonna need a little bit more in the hip range for him, but you know, we'll make it work. It's a sizing up that's so matter of fact, it's so clearly about final resting that it's a little unnerving. As if they can already see you dead, already see you in the casket, already planned out which wreath to bring for the service. The driver isn't that far off from there either. The tattoos and brightly colored hair immediately makes it seem as if they are, well, far younger. Miguel, dressed as he is, dark collared button up, well pressed slacks, hand polished boots, and a signet ring on each finger. Looks like someone's fairly wealthy grandfather. The hat only adding further to it, because it is a very broken in and well loved pork pie, nice round brim that has seen better days. I'm sorry for being late, but there are other engagements, there are other factors we had to consider. Where is your other associate?
Solo Dios sabe.
Very well.
If my address and family and wife kept him.
Oh, he's a family man. This I understand. I consider all of my community my family. Some with more blood than others, but I consider us all part of one family. I suppose we can wait a little longer. We do have eyes and ears on the target. I don't generally like exposition, but to buy the time, I think perhaps I should apologize. I understand looking on Chewie in that state is no easy thing, but as I said, I was trying to dissuade you not to enlist you. What I do, what we do for the betterment of others is dangerous. What we do is in its infancy. We fight against forces infernal and everywhere. There was a distant relation who had entered into our trust, and they're the ones that did that to Chewie. They were close enough in trust and loyalty, and they even called us brothers, and they did that to Chewie. These are the things that we will be facing. These are the things that, if we are not careful, if we don't press every advantage, and if we get sloppy and let our guards down, will do the same or worse to us. Normally, I bring this up before taking vital statistics and enrolling you all into our organization. I can't do that with you all because our organization is Salvadoran first. And so to reap the benefits, you will have to be, well, there are more things that I need to maneuver and move around to bring that level of aftercare to your family. But you have my word that I will do my best by you and your family until such as a point. Okay?
I was just talking to your secretary, I believe you.
You spoke with Griselda?
She has quite character. Quite the character.
She definitely should. Until 3 months ago, she was the logistics planner for 2 Colombian cartels. I don't want you all to assume that everyone that works with us, that helps us, is just an above-board, law-abiding citizen. This is not going to be a pretty situation. And we need those willing to do instead of just to hope. Again, we don't need soldiers who take orders. We need people who are impassioned and willing. But I've stalled long enough. I suppose we'll have to go without Levy. And as he says that, Levy, you are rounding the corner, all but spinning your tires and leaving rubber behind as you come to a roaring stop, making it just before they disembarked from this location.
So he is at least dressing black, but he has tear, well, actually dry tear now at this point on his shirt. He's just gonna get out of the car and say, "I am so sorry. I tried to be straight with my wife, but she just, sorry. What did I miss?"
We were going to head to what I believe they call on TV a stakeout.
Yep.
Our target, if that is the language that you all would enjoy, is a gentleman who works at a nightclub not far from here. He has been there a suspiciously long amount of time. He has shown no signs of any damages from the accelerated drug use. We, several nights ago, drugged him. We slipped him some Rohypnol and several other agents to have him pass out, to have him drop where he was, so that we could have words with him. He continued as if nothing happened. He imbibed and chugged and partied. The myth of Rasputin, he made it so that it could very well have happened. It's believable. It's proof that someone can imbibe poisons and sedatives and still continue on as if nothing had happened. I don't know if you've all been to Bliss over east of here, but it is a mecca for all manner of behaviors. It's a mecca for, well, we believe it's a hive. You know how bees have a hive and wasps have a hive? We believe that's what this is. A place where they hide and recoup, and they utilize the worst aspects of humanity. And we wouldn't mind knowing that or having that as an idea, but less than 3 blocks to our west is Tank's UFC gym. They have been the site for several disappearances, and one of them was an armed forces member, a member of the Air Force who disappeared 5 nights ago, and they were linked to our target. She disappeared, her sister disappeared, and, well, we fear the worst. So it's important we have the opportunity of capturing him alone and having words with him so that we can get to the bottom of this and provide solace to her and her sister's family. So, do you understand what we're expecting from you tonight?
Is this a capture operation?
You're going to watch. You're going to keep an eye. You're going to detail where he goes and when the opportunity arises for him to be alone. And you're going to call me. And we will arrange a net. And we will keep you all safe. But your faces that if you are seen have never been witnessed by him before. It should put him at ease. He shouldn't think that you all are onto him. He shouldn't think that he's the Renfield you all are going to follow back to whatever Dracula is pulling his string. Are you ready for this?
Sorry, one last question, since I made a presumption that arriving anytime after sunset is okay, so I want to make sure that I don't misunderstand more things. To call you, are you saying the number that's on your card? So I do imagine that when we're following somebody and we take out our phone and call a number and just like speak out, that would probably alert the target. Like, is there like a code word? Do we just call the number, not saying anything? Or...
He smiles and looks toward the van, stepping back inside. Is anyone using an inferior Apple device? Good. You are all people of focus. And he steps back out with 2, 3, 4 small earphone boxes. And he hands one to each of you. If you sync this with your phone, you can place this in your ear, and you won't have to put the phone up to it to call me. You can swipe and tap and hold so that I'm a priority, and just talk as if I'm there in front of you, and it won't be out of place, especially in this day and age. And yes, the number on the card, Griselda, for all of her fire, her piss and vinegar, is a very loyal woman.
And how exactly do we identify this man?
It's quite easy. For all of the acclaim that Sergei has, his lover Harry has even more acclaim. And he describes Harry a little bit taller than average. Looks as if to be the sort that does heavy lifting. His shoulders are broad and round. His mustache is fairly impressive. He stands 6'2", 6'3", and nearly the same in terms of width and depth well-defined chest and laterals. He's got what the weightlifters call a defying V, I believe is what it's called. And since Sergey's accident, he's been seen more and more at Bliss and then at Tanks. We're going to use him to track back to his handlers, to the Dracula that's pulling his strings. We have eyes on him now, and he is in fact at Tanks of all places. So we're going to park outside. You're going to keep watch. One or two of you may go in and keep more defined knowledge on who he speaks to and associates with, and we're going to follow him back to wherever the quietest place he will be, and we'll find a way to capture him, question him, and get to the bottom of this. And if you do well, tomorrow I'll introduce you to some of our more official members of the organization. Police officers, county sheriffs will be meeting at the Waffle House so that we can share information and do something good.
Silly question, but do they sell gym clothes at Tanks, or do you always have to bring your own?
I believe they do have merchandise.
Great. I can go in and ask to buy the gym clothes I will wear on the assignment.
So as he gives you all the address to Tanks and leaves you with the van, the granddaughter and grandson looking individuals that were part of the van disappeared with him and move around the back of the deli, leaving you all with the van. Who's driving? Who's staying in the van? And who's going inside?
Well, I've already planned on going inside because, frankly, I wasn't thinking about stakeout stuff because I didn't know what we were going to get to do, per se. Or at least I didn't think about it. So, like, I am totally not wearing stakeout attire. Like, my best shot is to hide in plain sight. So, I'm walking into the gym and being like, I am out of shape. I need to get in better shape. I'd like to buy some gym clothes and start working out here. Pay for a membership, all that jazz.
She is probably gonna stay in the van. She's best not at combat. She's best at surveillance.
What is the surrounding of the tanks? Is it like literally like a fish tank with all glasses? Like all windows on the side?
Yeah, but they're not facing the street.
Okay. What are the establishments next to it that are still open?
Therein lies the dilemma, as it were. There's a juice bar as its nearest neighbor. Tanks is on Pineville and Hickory. There's two entrances as well as a slightly less known third entrance that not many people are aware of. If you're not a regular, if you don't frequent the place, it wouldn't be in your easy understanding of how to get in and out of the place. There's no real fence at Tanks. There are fences on the properties immediately to the north of it and to the east of it. It takes up the initial plat of land right at Pineville and Hickory Drive. And the other business that is close enough to count is the Long Beach Nutrition Juice Bar immediately to the east off of Pineville. Across the street on Hickory Drive, there's a relatively vacant lot of sorts. It's a municipal property. There's a tower that has cell receivers and generators on it. There's a building that's storage for the city, and immediately west of there is a Baptist church. So basically across the street from Tanks and one additional property further west. Going north on Hickory, it breaks your heart. Let's just call it what it is. And the reason why it breaks your heart, because Hickory goes all the way north, staying Hickory Drive as it makes a left going west, past Cypress Drive, past North Forest Avenue, down Evergreen, before you'd be able to make your way back. If you're going to try to drive in a circle and keep an eye, there is no way to drive around Tanks and not be an eyesore. Because south of Pineville, there are homes. Immediately east of Pineville is YMCA Lane, which goes almost an eighth of a block north, ending in the property for the YMCA. But Hickory, it opens up into 3 cul-de-sacs where there are nothing but residential homes. The sort of homes that huddle together for comfort and protection, and to which they turn a cold shoulder to outsiders. Not that either of you are particularly security conscious, but in terms of infiltration, in terms of logistic security, Tanks is pretty untouchable in that regard. There's no way to approach it without causing or becoming part of a scene.
But it just kind of sounds like Buddy might be the driver. Elijah is the person going in, and she is the lookout.
All great plans.
Yep.
And just like all plans, they never survive engagement with the enemy. As you all pull along Pineville, staking the place out, trying to figure out where to park, where to make room for Elijah to infiltrate, the world tilts on its axis. There's a old 1960s Oldsmobile in the parking lot, and stepping out of Tanks is a lovely darker toned woman with medium length curly wavy hair running down her back, dressed in various blacks, from slacks to sports coat to button up underneath and the long trench coat that she wears over. Pausing in the doorway of Tank's, she looks left, she looks right. She begins moving towards the Oldsmobile, and then she pauses and stops, digging in her pocket and taking out a small slip of white. Looks like a business card at first until she affixes it to her collar. She doesn't seem to notice you, but she does notice the SUV, which has the same license plate. Well, it's close enough to the panel van that you guys are driving. She moves between blinks. She's at the SUV. And as you all watch, as you make your way, trying to figure out how to turn around and get back and get within view, as you all are driving north along Hickory, you watch as she pulls both of the men inside from the vehicle. She opens the door as if there was no lock of any notice. She drags two tactical individuals wearing plate armor and looking like rejects from central casting for every war movie that you've seen in the last 5 years. Big brimming with muscles, short haircuts, the sort that when you think of combat operator in modern times, you see their image next to it. She treats them like unruly toddlers, tossing them into the trunk of her car. And as you all continue north along Hickory, looking for a place to turn around or looking for a place to... What are you looking for a place for?
So, you mentioned that there are 3 entrances/exits to the trunks, and the third one is like a hidden one and only the regular one know.
Mm-hmm.
Would what is his name? Would Mr. Estrada told us about it? Like the third entrance? Or no?
No, it's not. It's tactical information that he's not a boots on the ground. It wouldn't be in his database of things.
But just by surrounding, like circling around the trucks, we can identify like definitely the main entrance. And can we find the second one? Is it the back one?
Yeah, you can see that there should be a way in. The idea of driving across the sidewalk to get to it may not be the most appealing, but yes.
Okay, I have to drive across a sideway to get to the back entrance.
Yes. The third entrance for the driveway, yes.
Okay, how are the cars like parked nearby? Because I feel like if we go to like go across over the side, like the sidewalk to the back entrance, that would be kind of too out of place if like regular customers do not park there.
True. Regular customers clearly don't park there, but it is a way to get to the driveway for the business without wrestling with the front-facing parking lot.
And the front-facing parking lot has that woman that just tore open an SUV and pulled the two guys from inside.
Yes.
Great. Is she like paying attention to us or no?
Doesn't seem that way.
She was walking into the building, right?
She's walking out.
Out. I would say just wait for her to leave because we don't want to get recognized by her.
Okay. Hearing what Elijah says, Levy just gonna keep on driving, and he's gonna circle back to it, and hopefully, you know what? This might not be like a really good idea, but what if we park like at that juice bar, like where we can kind of see? Can we kind of see from there?
Yes.
Okay. Behind 2 windows, basically.
Well, you have to walk inside. I just need a place to temporarily park where we can kind of see if that woman is still outside or not.
Yeah, and I frankly want to wait until that woman is long gone before I try this because she might recognize me.
Okay, but yeah, this is just like a temporary place that I park. I will drive closer. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're gonna try to wait her out, and hopefully she doesn't see us behind the juice bar. Okay, cool.
Chia?
Chia's already been having a miniature panic attack in the back seat. Which, as soon as she saw that lady, it was all bets are off. She's in the back seat, like kind of holding herself.
There's a cost to doing business, and only a person who is indelibly, eternally, hopelessly hopeful will ever seek to or believe that that cost does not come due for them. But this is in fact the world of darkness. This is in fact a dark mirror to all of those conspiracy theories we have about who controls the nation and how they control society. So as you all ease into the parking lot for the juice shop, which is next door to Tank's, you could swear that as she ensures that the trunk is properly closed, that the priest looks, glances, glimpses, and considers what to do with the 3 of you all trapped inside of a metal vehicle that is of no more defense than tissue paper. And with her watching you, and you watching Tanks, and her waiting for your moment to pounce, I'd like to thank you all for a lovely episode. It has been fun. We know that the outcome is all but uncertain and up to actionable decisions and the consequences therein. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.